So some people have been asking me recently about this new race car that I had built, and I was going to do a little mashup video to help explain what the heck that is. So if you see that white car that I keep all my crap on, that's a Yamaha Rhino. It's like 15 years old. It's a 2006. Back in '06, that was like the first side-by-side ever built. And people started racing it. It was a big piece of crap, but they did it anyways. And then at some point, Weller Racing came along and said, let's take the biggest engine we can find and put it in the biggest piece of crap side by side that we can and start racing that. So they did. So that next picture is a SR1. And that's a sort of modified Rhino with a Yamaha R1 engine in it. So it went from like 30 horsepower to like 180 horsepower. And it still has a 6-speed transmission. The Yamaha R1 is a crotch rocket street bike, 1000cc crazy machine, and they adapted a hand shifter and clutch to that linkage, so it shifts just like a motorcycle does, but with your hand, and it's in a car and on a bike. So that's kind of what that whole nonsense is. But what's really crazy is that it's the same chassis-ish. I mean, it's a tube chassis now, but all the suspension from the new fancy SR1 will still bolt up to the old piece of crap Yamaha Rhino. So it's a really short wheelbase with stupid power, and it's only two-wheel drive instead of four-wheel drive, so it's just a handful to keep under control, to say the least. It takes a lot of finesse, a lot of throttle control, which I have very little. And just driving it the other day, the thing is stupid fun to drive. It's really, really cool what they came up with. So not too long ago, Weller let me drive their SR1. That's Corey's car. She's not driving it now, but Jason let me drive it and in practice one day. And that's kind of what I look like getting out of the car and what my face looks like after driving it. The thing was just ridiculous and pretty easy to drive, super predictable. A lot of wheel spin, a lot of careful shifting. You can't really just put your foot on the floor and go over jumps because we'll just be burning out the whole time. It's pretty wild. I had a lot of fun with it, and since then I started looking for one, which brings us to our current chassis here that we're looking at now. So I found this car on, I don't know where I found it, Craigslist or maybe Instagram short course classifieds. I don't remember, but I found this thing and it's got like, it's almost brand new. I think it's been on the track once or twice, and it kind of looks like a mailbox a little bit, but it has all the updated stuff on it, updated the engine I want and all the components that I wanted. It just doesn't look fantastic, but it was affordable. So I bought that thing at Glen Helen, and then right from there, I just sent it back to Weller and said, just fix it. Make it safe, make it fast, and make it not look so stupid. And they did a pretty killer job on all of that. And I just got it back last week, and we went out to Glen Helen and tested with it. And I don't know, I probably put 50 laps in that car. I went out, usually I go out a couple laps at a time and make adjustments in my waxy. I just went out in that thing and kept banging gears until at one point the thing sputtered. I ran out of gas on one tank, so I couldn't get out of the thing. It was pretty fun. You can see here though, the thing's pretty simple. It's just a big giant motor, and they just put a chain drive rear end on it with two axles to run the wheels. So instead of a single, crotch rocket type wheel to run a motorcycle, it just runs off a chain system the same, except it does two wheels instead of one. So we took some measurements here for the seat and pushed the steering wheel forward. They did all that because I'm bigger than this car. Pushed the pedals forward for me. We checked the height of the both foot pedals there, the height of the helmet clearance. So we wanted to lower that seat a bit, and then also lower the cage so it didn't look so stupid. And they did a pretty killer job with that. Now that it's all said and done, I think it turned out really good. I mean, a fresh build, you can do whatever you want, but taking a build like they had and just only cutting out a few bars, they did a pretty sweet job with how that thing turned out. Here you can see where they kind of cut some of it apart, cut the top off it, started making the main chassis tubes. There you can kind of see the motor sitting in there and a fuel tank. Now they get some door skins on it. Move the shock bracket, beef that up a little bit, and it's all starting to come together, looking pretty sweet. This has been since July. There's Corey, the multi-time champ there, helping out, holding the fenders up, because she knows I want everything perfect or I'm going to go crazy. And so she helped out with a lot of how that car looks, which is great. I think Jason did a lot of the, the tube tube placement and help with there, and Bubba does the welding in there. They both kind of do all that stuff, but you know, I want everything to look cool. It was part of one of the three things I wanted: safe, fast, and look cool. So it was kind of a group effort, a lot of texting pictures back and forth to make all that happen. That's a pretty funny picture of that engine. I didn't know what it looked like. It was all covered up for the longest time, and when you take all the panels off, you're like, it looks like some sort of funny car where you just sit next to the engine, literally right there in your face. How's it going? So that was pretty cool to see that picture. And you, of course, got Brandon Larson in there doing race car noises, checking that out. I think he might get one of these at some point just to go to Starbucks back and forth. Street legal in Arizona. Just take it for a rip to get coffee. So here now you can see him start putting the dash back together. Got the race pack in there, put a new steering wheel on it after they moved it forward a little bit for me. Put some of the panels on it, everything got powder coated, looking all sweet. And there I'm just sitting in it again, make sure it fits. There was a seat change since that happened, since I crashed my YXZ. I wanted to put a containment seat in this thing just to be sure, and we're going to check the height. That's the new cage on it. Got plenty of room for my helmet, my brain, and just checking things out here. It's starting to come together, looking pretty sharp. We got the new radiator going on. It's actually a Yamaha YXZ radiator. We tried that out. Wasn't really sure if it was going to work, but it's a pretty efficient radiator. And when I ran it at the track the other day, it never got over 180. And for cars like this, it tend to get pretty hot. That thing did an awesome job, and it looks pretty cool. And I'm probably the only person that has that. Got some number plates on. The interior's all back together. Everything powder coated. Dash looking sharp, and it runs. Didn't run when I bought it. Didn't run very good anyways. And so here we're getting it strapped into the dyno, ready to make some sweet dyno pulls with it. That thing sounds pretty ridiculous. We did it after hours at the shop, and the red line on that thing is like 13.8 or something, and so it just screams and goes and goes and goes. It's pretty wild. It was pretty fun just to sit there and listen to that thing rip. And now we're just out here at Glen Helen on a test day last weekend, and getting that thing dialed in. We had to put some radios in it, a couple last minute things to make sure it all worked so we could talk to each other, and did some testing on that and the yellow car a little bit. Get ready for this weekend, this last race. So here's Lori getting all strapped in. She took the SR1 for a hot lap. In my pit crew, you have to basically drive everything, and she did that. It was pretty funny. She went out there, and I'm like, just take it easy. She went out there in first lap and just kind of ripped it on the first corner in the first straightaway. I'm like, calm down. Long day. Let's not ruin this thing just yet. But she did a pretty sweet job. She probably did 10 laps out there, and pretty fearless. So that was pretty fun to watch her do that. That's her new favorite car for sure. Here goes Lori.